In this video, I'm going to discuss my keys to simple and effective driver fitting for when working with a typical golfer, the guy who's struggling to break a 90 or even 100. Now, the better player normally swings the club head faster and they hit the ball farther. But primarily they hit the ball farther because they make square and center contact more often. And when I fit with these players, I use my monitor at my studio at Goose Creek, and numbers like launch angle and angle of descent and spin rates and smash factor, these numbers start making more sense, and they help me in identifying an optimal driver spec for this player, for this more consistent player. Now, but this video isn't for those guys. That's a whole different type of fit. This video is for the typical golfer. The guy doesn't even hit half his drives in the fairway because he can't. He hits the ball all over the club face, and the club face is rotating open and closed all the time. For these guys, my driver fit has to be coupled with a lesson, because I don't care what you spend for your driver. You can spend $500 or $5,000. It doesn't matter. You're the one swinging. The driver doesn't swing itself. So these guys have got to learn how to make square and center contact, better quality contact. Now, my philosophy, I'm all about score. As you know, that's all I care about is score. People come to me and I want to help them score better. If they never broke 90, I want to help them always get in the 80s. They never broke 100, I want to help them always get in the 90s. I just want to help them get to to that next level. And golf, the game of golf, is all about accuracy and distance control, not raw distance. It's not a long drive contest. You can't improve your score if you're constantly hitting your drive into the next fairway, or OB, or into hazards, or into trees, or into deep rough. There's just no way you can lower your score by doing this. And this idea that if I only hit 20 yards farther is just meaningless nonsense. If the few drives you hit in the fairway were 20 yards farther, who cares? It's not going to help you at all. So, if you go to one of these big box stores and you go to get fit for a driver, they're going to sell distance because they know distance sells. If they can put you on a launch monitor, and if somehow they can figure a way with bells and whistles, smoke and mirrors for them to see, oh, look at that, 20, 30 yards farther, you're going to walk out the door with a $500 driver. And then you're going to get to the golf course, and here we go again, because golf clubs aren't getting any better. The great Mo Norman, the Canadian pro, who is maybe the most accurate driver of all time, one of his favorite quotes, I like him, kind of paraphrasing, he said something about, I never wanted to be the longest driver. I wanted to be the straightest driver. I thought that was great. I like that. I like you to adopt that philosophy. It's a philosophy I had to drop because as I'm getting older and older, everybody I play with hits the ball farther than me now. There's just nothing I can do about it. But I can learn to hit the ball straighter. I can learn to hit all the fairways. So I can still compete. After the round, my buddies, if I have a 76 and my buddy has a 78, I won. It never anywhere in the scorecard doesn't say he gets to take strokes off his score because he hits his drive 40 yards farther than me. I mean that's great, but if I'm hitting a 7-iron and from the same spot he's hitting an easy 9-iron, I guess that's great. But still, it's all about score. Nobody cares. The scorecard doesn't care about how far you hit the ball. Now, here I am working with this typical driver, the typical guy, he's normally slicing the ball continuously. And the first thing I do is try to work with his driver. I don't want him to go out and spend $500 on a new driver. I'm not a big fan of overpriced golf clubs. So I'll take a look at his driver. Normally, it'll be too long. Normally, he'll be, but he's not aware of that. People don't know. They just buy the drivers off the shelf. Nobody tells them how long they are. And I'll measure it. It'll be 46. Let's say it's 46 inches long, and he's 5'8". And I'll say, well, Bubba Watson's 6'3", and his driver is 44.5 inches long. It's yours. Isn't that weird? Don't you think that's weird that your driver is 1.5 inches longer than his? And people don't know, and they say, well, that is. So typically, when your driver's that long, it becomes very difficult to get the ball, make square and center contact. So the first thing I do is their driver, is, if they allow me to, and they always do, is cut it down to a length that they can, depending on their skill level, how I see them swing, to a length that they can handle. Then I cut it down 1.5 to 2.5 inches, and I'll put a new grip on, a grip that better fits their hand size. Then I look at most of the drivers now are adjustable. If they are adjustable, I'll add loft because I want a little more backspin. I want them to get the ball up in the air. I'm trying to get the ball in play. They're always worried about spin. They only swing 80 miles an hour. Spin has nothing to do with it, 90 miles an hour. They got to keep the ball in play. Forget about spin. So I'll have to add some loft, and then I'll turn the face angle. If they're big slicers, I'm going to have to turn the face angle in to help them square their face more. And if they have weights, I'm going to make the head a little more draw biased. So I'll be moving the weights a little bit more towards the heel. So now they got a driver. It's their same driver, but all of a sudden now it's more playable. Now they can use it. But still, it's them. They've got to learn how to make square and center contact. So I'm going to have to work with their setup to get the ball going down the target line. I'm going to have to, normally they're aimed to left field, so I'm going to have to adjust their spine and their shoulders and their alignment, maybe their stance. I may have to go a little more closed stance. I'm going to have to help them square the face. Quite often I have to alter their grip a little bit, get them to rotate a little bit stronger grip to help them square the club face. I'm going to have them think a little bit different so they're not hacking down the ball, swinging as hard as they can. Swing a little more back and forth, get a little more extension on the backswing, swing more back and forth. Then we do that for a while. I can put some impact tape on the face. And I say, okay, this is what we're going to do. You hit the ball all over the club face. We're going to learn to get the ball more in the middle of the club face. You hit the ball farther. We've got to get the ball more in the middle of the club face. And we work on that. And it does. Because they get immediate feedback. When they got the impact tape, they can see every time why they're not in the middle of the club face. And I'll tell them. I'll give them some directions of what they need to do. And normally it's not that hard. Then by the end of the hour, I help them learn how to practice with purpose. I'll say, okay, we're going to make a little fairway out there. See those trees on the right side of the fairway? That's one side, and that pole is the other side. You got a 50-yard wide fairway. And depending on their skill level, I might say it might be just hit the ball 200 yards. You got to hit 5 in a row, over 200 yards in the fairway. That's purposeful practice. And when you're practicing out there after we leave today, whenever you practice, you can't leave until you get 5 in a row in the fairway over 200 yards. And they do when they just learn to do it. And they hit the ball 20 or 30 yards farther because now they're making square and center contact. The ball's coming off the face faster, and they're getting distance with their old driver automatically. So they're more accurate, and they're hitting the ball farther. So those are the things I do every day when working with the typical guy that can't break 90 or 100. I have to cut his driver down. I put a new grip on that better fits him. I adjust his loft and lie angle of his club face. I make his more heel. I move the weights around more towards the heel, more of a draw biased club head. And now the driver is more playable. Then I have him. I adjust his setup position, his grip. And I get him to think more back and forth, his thoughts while he's swinging, and teach him how to hit the ball more in the club face. This is the first step. You've got to get off the tee. You've got to get the ball in the middle of the fairway. Now, if you come by and see me at my studio, I'll be happy to give you one of my books. I got a little book I wrote, just a simple little book about the keys about golf clubs. Be happy to give you one. If you don't live close by Goose Creek, you can pick one up on Amazon. I hope these simple little tips help you. If you're a typical golfer and you're struggling off the tee, I hope these little tips can help you. And I'll look forward to working with you. So, thank you.